Okay, we're on. And great thing that happened was the first time that we did this, I wasn't recording audio. But this time I am recording audio. So let's and you know what? It'd be nice to just introduce ourselves this time. So I'm Felix. We go down the list. Jared.
Oh. I'm Jared.
It's Jared.
I'm Mabel.
And I'm Steven.
Nice, Regal. I love it. We are all DigiPen students. I have these fine folks gathered here. I had an idea for something that I wanted to do over the break, just a fun game where I'd use free assets, and then I was like, oh, if I get my friends involved, this will be very ridiculous and funny. So we did. We have already basically chosen people at random. So I was like holding up cards with people's names on them, and we assigned them that way.
It totally worked great.
It totally worked great. The second time. I fully expected, I was like, I'm just going to be really unlucky and I'm going to like keep messing it up. I'm just going to keep getting bad draws. We got it on the second try. So we've all chosen our assets now. These lists, it's only free assets. They all have to contain some sort of functionality so that you can make a game out of it, some art and some audio. And that's all that you get to use. You don't get to use any sort of other outside content. You don't really get to make any new functionality of your own. You just kind of piece stuff together. Okay, I kind of have to do this out of order because my audio wasn't recording at the start. But I got Jared, so I have to pick out free assets for Jared from the Unity asset store. I'm going to start with the functionality, so figuring out what what sort of interactions there are gonna be. So something like this, it's like micro game, FPS micro game, third person controller, like that stuff. That's what I'm looking for. I looked through a ton of stuff here, and there's not a whole lot of stuff, and I kind of expect the other people to pick up maybe some of the more like popular assets. So I'm just gonna go with, I know Jared likes racing type stuff, so I'm gonna put in this karting pack, low poly FPS pack. I'm gonna include that just to give him some different options. This free horror game one, maybe I'll try something with that. I'm gonna include this is super bare bones, but I mean I could see him using like whatever one of these he ends up using. He could probably use some of these like rotating platforms and stuff like that. So these include some art assets and stuff, but I want to gather up some more art assets and stuff, so I'm going to do that as well. Okay, very fitting. One of my friends just started playing Cyberpunk. But look, Cyberpunk music pack. I don't even know what I'm going to put in terms of what's it called? Like art into this. I'm not quite sure. Like this obstacle course has some like Fall Guys vibes as well as the karting pack, but the horror game is like a total wrench in there. But I mean, Cyberpunk is it's the big thing right now, so we gotta put some Cyberpunk music in there. And let's pick out some art for Jared and see what he gets there. To go along with the Cyberpunk music, check out this awesome Kit Bash Neo City. I'm definitely gonna include this. It would be, I mean, if you make some sort of like crazy horror Cyberpunk game, that would be incredible. But yeah, this looks great. We'll include this. I also threw in a zombie for good measure, just in case, just kind of urge them towards that horror. Well, maybe we'll get a horror karting game. That would be pretty incredible. So let's start. I already showed, for example, I showed Steven's card, but let's switch it up. So we got me. Who made my list?
I did.
Oh boy. All right. What do you want to? I don't know if.
Yes.
What's a good way to share this? You just screen share if you want.
Yeah. Well, here I'll Screen share. Okay. I made like a little, what's the word? A text doc.
Sure.
I'll just copy paste it into general.
Go for it.
And then, so some of those, oopsie.
That works.
I included links for a lot of things, and then other things, what's the word? I just wrote down because they were in your list of like free things that you already had from Unreal.
Gotcha. Solid. Okay, so you got dialogue, first-person story adventure. Okay, sounds like it'll work reasonably well together. I don't remember what that first-person story... Oh, that's the kind of like walking simulator-looking one, right?
It looked like it had a bunch of assets for like picking things up and interacting with items.
Cool. Okay. Sweet. I'm excited to make a bunch of cool looking environment with that. That stuff looks good. Didn't throw me any curveballs though.
I was gonna like, I don't know, add like fantasy animals or something like that. But I sort of like had an idea in mind.
Okay.
I guess I sort of wanted to like give you something very small and like make you make a lot from that.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. All right, up next, Mabel, who made Mabel's asset pack.
That was me.
Oh boy.
Yay!
Harder thing. Share my screen. So you can only use the car controller from the standard assets. I couldn't find any good character controllers, but you can use the car one. Only the car one.
Okay.
And you have an obstacle course pack.
Nice.
So you get to make an obstacle course for your car.
I've never made a car game before. This is very exciting.
Solid.
Could you copy and paste that to me, please?
I just destroyed your chat. Yeah, so there you go.
Nice. Solid. That's great.
I have some engine sounds, a car visuals, some smoke visuals, and other stuff. And
psychedelic.
Oh, thank you.
Pack.
Yeah, psychedelic sound effects pack. And I thought it would
That's exciting. I'm very excited.
Love it. Okay, what we got next? Jared. Whoever made Jared's asset pack. That was me. Yeah, down to it. You could use process of elimination, Jared. Alright, let me share my screen. I'll show you what I got going on here. Sadly, mine was eerily similar to Steven's. So I got the karting mini game. This felt very Jared-esque. And I also did this obstacle course because it was like Fall Guys is in vogue right now. That just has a bunch of like swinging random shit that could knock you around that sounded funny. I also threw in a little bit of a curveball, this horror game, this Slender Man game template. So if you want, you could do more of a horror game and then just throw in some stuff from the other one. Sticking with that horror, I was like, I'll throw in a zombie for good measure. He decapitates and everything. You can make him fall apart, I guess. I did the same Neo City asset that Steven put in there. Some nature stuff if you want to do like a sort of like a painted terrain. It has some like terrain brushes and stuff. Some skyboxes. This is just a single rock. Just one rock.
Amazing.
But you got to figure out how to use the single rock.
Oh, I can do a lot with a single rock, dude.
Got you some cool Japanese gardens, and there's so many anime characters. I was like, I'll just throw in an anime girl for good measure. So
dude, heck yeah.
Good luck on that one. I also threw in the cyberpunk music because it's like cyberpunk is the thing right now, and then just a bunch of free sound effects. So that's yours. I got yours in a Word document. I'll post it. All right.
Amazing.
And last but not least,
Jared.
I will, dude. Okay.
Wait, what? Oh, did we start with me? Oh yeah, Mabel did yours. For some reason, I thought it was down to us.
Here we go.
30-second memory.
First, we have here a...
Oh no!
Jared, I told you that in confidence. You're using it against me.
Which gives you a lot of tools, you know, making checkpoints, setting up dialogue, all of that jazz.
Can you do it in English, or is it like all in Japanese?
I have no clue. Next up, we got the kart racing micro game. You know, make that kart racing visual novel that you always wanted to. Giving you some RPG assets, low poly.
Okay.
A hot pack of free sound effects, some Lego micro game music. You know,
some moody tunes. Okay.
Get those Lego vibes. We've got some more sound effects.
Nice.
Okay, for UI, that will work well with the visual novel. You know.
Yep. Exactly what you need.
VNs need audio.
We've got ourselves some UI buttons and icons.
You gotta have that for visual novel. I get you. I'm following.
Yep. Just in case the visual novel toolkit doesn't pan out with its. I just posted the same thing twice. Hold on.
You have to use
sure
double.
The visual novel toolkit is of the highest quality.
Oh, most definitely.
It's free. I can't give you anything bad for free.
We've got some water.
Okay. Water's good. You gotta hydrate before you dihydrate. I'm with you.
Some fancy cell shading.
Okay. Slap that on carts. I gotcha. You know, a little bit of post-processing makes everything look better.
Yeah, honestly, dude. We got you a ultimate 10+ shaders.
Sounds ultimate.
You know, just so that you can get that gamer on. 52 special effects.
I'll do my best to include all 52.
And then, just so that you can have a variety of characters, we've got some Lego stickers.
Oh my god.
Okay. I get you.
Nice.
And that's it.
That's all? That's it? That's all you're giving him, Jared?
Yep.
Epic.
So
Wow.
we'll just,
So hype. For some reason, I can't drag my... Just greeted with that visual novel toolkit. I love it. I can't drag my my asset list in for you right now, Jared, but I'll do it in a second. Okay. Cool.
I have high expectations for you, Steven.
And now we make games until like
Very disappointing.
Wednesday on midnight.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then meet together on Thursday
We could do that.
or
Yeah.
Wednesday at midnight.
You can do that Wednesday midnight launch party, you know?
Hey, that sounds fun to me. Oh, we can figure it out closer to the day, but yeah.
My
Take
bedtime
it.
is like 10, so if I'm staying up till 12, I'm gonna be a zombie.
It'd be so tired. All right.
Imagine having a bedtime, though.
Yeah, Mabel. Everybody else in this chat, their sleep. We all went to bed at like what? It was a descending.
Yeah.
You went to bed at 5. 5. I went to bed at like 3.
AM?
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
It was still dark outside.
Sleepy.
It's gonna be dark from like, I don't know, very very early in the afternoon till very late in the morning during the winter here. So, cool. I'm gonna hop off the call so that I can download that like probably like 50 gigabytes of high quality assets that Mabel sent me out. And Jared, I'll get your thing linked so you can start doing that too.
Amazing.
Cool.
All right, see y'all soon.
See ya.
Bye.
I'm gonna download all of these things and get them all into one project, which I would imagine, especially the Unreal stuff, tends to people put in like mega scans and like really high quality files. So it'll look really cool, but there's gonna be a lot there. I feel like Mabel also went really easy on me, which I'll try to make something wild anyway. there's just something cool, but some of the other, like, oh my god, the things that I threw at Jared are just like ridiculous. So I know Jared's gonna make something absurd out of it, and Steven too. Like, holy cow! So it's hype. It's gonna be great. We'll see what comes out of it. I'm gonna laugh so hard if there are like 3 driving games, and then just like mine is gonna be like some little like walking simulator or something. So get this stuff downloaded, and we'll get going. So what I'm gonna start with is figuring out how I'm gonna integrate, if I'm going to even try to integrate the adventure story template and the blueprint dialogues, since those are the two kind of things, the two main pieces of functionality. I'm guessing that nothing else in this really, none of the other assets really contain a whole lot of like functionality that I can use. So we're gonna see those and figure out kind of like what the game loop is going to be, what the player is actually going to do. So I'll check that out. I figured I would do a quick update. So I got I got this whole system working. So all of these like objects, the interactable objects, doors and stuff. It's a little bit of a pain, but not too bad. Mabel gave me all these animals. They look great. I super like these. And I think that because these are like the only like more living things that I have, I'll probably put my dialogue, use these guys for my dialogue. So I'm like trying to learn how to use the dialogue system. It looks pretty basic. There's like watching a 10-ish minute tutorial on it. So once I have that figured out, I think I'll be like pretty good in terms of having all of the functionality that I'm gonna have. All right, so I got dialogue working. What is it? This whole thing actually also included a migration tutorial that I followed and was able to get this working. The only problem with this is he doesn't include any sort of like feedback for the things being like interactable. So he was like, oh, just draw like a debug text at that point on the screen, which is like, okay, that works for like just what it is whenever I'm just like testing stuff, but whenever I build the game later, it's not going to actually show up. The point is not to make anything new, but I think I need to make at least some sort of like text object that pops up on the guy so that you can actually tell, since feedback isn't there by default. But this thing works. It doesn't break the other stuff, it seems. I guess I haven't tried like what happens if you do that. Yeah, that still works. Cool. I wonder what happens if I pause and then press E. Okay, it looks like it's not breaking anything. Cool. I'm gonna work on that feedback and then I think we're in business. I added a little bit of code here. It's not new functionality, it's just feedback, because the thing didn't include any, and otherwise you wouldn't know. And this is pretty cool. I haven't done this before, but I realized I could use the bounds of the object and then add the size of the bounds to the relative position of the this piece of feedback here. So it actually, regardless of what I put this on, that little prompt will show up above all these characters, assuming their root is like on the ground. So now, so that I can actually like effectively use that instead of just it's like one-sided conversation of this. And also, like, even though I put in the name and yeah, I put a speaker name for the fox, it's not coming up, it's just showing speaker name. I'm gonna watch the tutorial that actually shows you how to use that dialogue system so that I can actually get, you know, full utilization out of it. So let's do that. All right, check this out. I go over here. I got some dialogue, some branching dialogue at that. So it asks you a question, and depending on how you respond, it does that. It's really, really simple. You just set it up in a data table. You can see I got multiple different kind of conversations going on. So those are good. So I think that's pretty much all I'm not. There's a bunch of like stuff that you can kind of script, things like that with the dialogue system. It's pretty extensive, but I got basically 2 more days, so I'm not really gonna mess around with it that much more. Instead, I still have all these things that I need to use. The one thing that I really wasn't sure about how everything was going to work was this procedural nature pack. There's a bunch of stuff in it. So first of all, it has this terrain, which like this is really some rough looking dirt in it. It doesn't scale great when you zoom out, but I think when you're on the ground it's going to be pretty alright. And it also has, I think I might have gotten rid of it, but this this terrain paint is pretty great. It has this puddles layer that I really like. So you can just paint puddles right onto your terrain like that, and that looks awesome. It has these boulders that scale. Their mesh scales without distorting the material. So that's awesome. So I can make some nice big kind of rocky stuff out of that. There's this water spline. It's like a river thing, which is pretty cool. And I think it works pretty well. I might get to use that. I mean, this is kind of difficult. You have to really do a lot of work to get it to look right. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to use that. And they also have this is probably one of the things that I will use is this vine spline, so you can like this. I made this in a matter of seconds. Like you just drag in a blueprint, add some nodes to it, and then I just added some. You can kind of change how many branches you want, so you can load it up with tons of branches and put a bunch of wind on it and stuff to make it look great. That was way too many. And put wind on it. Okay, I got some of this foliage working in my own level, along with some grassland accidents. Some of these little cool little things, and I also have these guys. I kind of hang down off this rock, just testing to make sure that all this stuff works properly. Yeah. So next. I think pretty much everything else in here. I'll probably want to take a look at this wind control system. Okay, I think I get how all this stuff works, and it seems pretty easy to just plop these in. I really like this selector. I hadn't thought about doing it this way before, but it uses an enum that you just change, and it swaps all of the stuff out for you, so you don't have to go through and like find the right materials or anything. So that's really clever. I really like that. Something I don't quite understand about why this works is you have to put in both wind source, which makes sense to me, but then it also has this like its own thing that has similar controls to the wind source. So I'm like, what is the point of this? Maybe it's like difficult to get something from the wind source or whatever. Okay, this is extremely exaggerated, but this skybox thing is pretty awesome, and it allows then this dynamic lighting, which would be really cool. Okay, so I've pretty much gone through and seen what's in most of these packs and stuff. What I think I'm gonna do is have kind of one central structure, and then do a lot of like cool organic elements off of it. Yeah, I figure if I can just build like a big cool structure, then I can figure out something interesting for the player to do inside is kind of what I'm thinking. At least I want to get a feel for what it's going to look like. So I've started kind of experimenting with a bunch of these different assets from the city. What is this called? The city park. Yeah, this is the one thing that has. It doesn't really have stuff I feel like that is intended for making a big structure, but it's got all these like concrete kind of like a gate or something and pillars and stuff like that. So I think I could definitely put these all together to make some sort of like big crazy structure. Also, there's this thing which is like a playground like climbing thing, but I was like, oh, this would be cool on like the top of on the top of a building. Like, it makes me think of like the, you know, in sci-fi movies or whatever, where there's like a huge dome that like encases the entire city or whatever, like something like that, and it would just be an interesting, you know, use for this asset. So that's what I'm gonna get started on, basically. This is day 2 of working on this thing. I just kind of went ham. I was up until 6 in the morning building this thing out, but as you can see, it is coming along really, really nicely. Doing these like spherical things, or not spherical, but like cylindrical, like trying to place all these things at angles was really frustrating, and I finally got it kind of down to a process where I was just kind of like building out one section at a time, turning that into a blueprint that has a pivot point. I just have all of these cubes that are basically acting as pivots for these things, and then duplicating them, and then if I update one of that blueprint, then it, you know, propagates those changes out to all of those wall sections. So yeah, it's working pretty well. I was thinking before I came in that what I wanted to do was stack this up and make a 3rd story with either this lower floor and just kind of move everything up and do it that way. One of the issues that I'm facing is with the assets that I'm using, these like park assets, something like this column, right? This column right here. It doesn't have anything on the bottom, so in some of these cases it's not super noticeable. I might even try to patch that up later. But if I were to just like take this, for instance, and duplicate it up, I'm pretty sure it's gonna look kind of messy because the bottom is gonna be, you know, sort of transparent. So I have to try to figure out, either have to kind of go through and modify the, actually, you know what? That looks pretty cool. I think it would probably look better to have 2 of the same and then a different one on the very top. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that and see how that looks. Okay, I think it's about time to be getting done with this thing since I've spent so many hours on it already. I did that 2nd floor. Well, I think it looks pretty good. I think there's some places. Oh no, there's just kind of a hole there, but I don't know how much of a big deal it is. Yeah, and I got the 2nd floor completed, and there's the same archway as the first, kind of leading up to the stairwell in here. And then I'm going to raise the terrain up over here later on so that you can actually reach the stairwell, get up into the 2nd level. And once you're up here, you can take this precarious stairway up to the 3rd one, where there's some balconies and stuff. And then I use this this like jungle gym type thing for the kind of like cap. Maybe that'll look better. I think that looks a little bit cleaner. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. So there you go. A bunch of just random assets thrown together. I mean, these are sports risers. These are like benches that I just changed the thing of. And I mean, there were a lot of like like these like pillars and walls and facades and stuff. But getting them all together was still pretty difficult. But it was a fun challenge. Like, I had so much fun making this thing, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to be done with this. I don't know if I'm going to end up making any more other structures. It might just depend on like how much time it takes to do the terrain and stuff, which I think I'm going to start sculpting now. I don't have a super clean idea for it. I figured it would be cool to have some sort of path leading up towards the back, and I imagine this thing being kind of seated in a valley. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'll start sculpting out the terrain and we'll see what we do from there. Alright, so I started getting this mapped out. What I'm thinking is you'll start in this kind of like mountainy sort of area, and I might have to lift this hill up a little bit more, put some foliage there or something. But you'll come down into this valley and you'll see the building. and then if you go around this side, or perhaps the other way, you'll be able to get up inside of it. I was trying to think. It's not really the biggest deal in the world if, like, what's the word? If, you know, you get up into these balconies or whatever and look out and there's just, like, no land. But I think it would be a lot cooler if there were. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome if I had some kind of cliffs like this? So just really big big rocky cliffs kind of enclosing in the whole thing. And it's just like being a little land valley part down at the bottom of it. There are a fair few rocks in here, so I'm gonna give that a shot. I'm gonna start on it and see how it goes. Yeah, I figured I would sculpt out the terrain first and then kind of like arrange the rocks, and I think it'll make it a lot easier to place them since I can like place them up against something as opposed to like having to stack them directly on top of each other and like fiddle with that transform weirdness. So yeah, this is the general shape that I'm thinking, and now I'm gonna go in and kind of like rock up the walls. I finished doing these. This is like 3-4 occasionally rock meshes that are just like way scaled up and placed around. Once I had a few of them down, I was kind of able to like just copy and duplicate them over once I had a scale and rotate them and scale them a little bit. And then once I got bigger portions of the wall done, like maybe something like this size or something like that, I would just copy parts of it and rotate a little bit and paste it elsewhere. And I ended up with this. I'm going to do a little bit of sculpting in here to clean things up, and then once I've done that sculpting, I'll go through and do my trees, which will also be good because actually I need to figure out a way to use something from every asset pack that Mabel gave me. So there are probably, I can probably pick out a set of trees that I'm going to use that'll look good together that will like cover most of those that I haven't done yet. So yeah, I'm going to do that. Here we are, day 3. I decided to just scrap everything and start over. No. I made a blank project. I'm gonna migrate everything over, but I figured I would show you this so that you can get an understanding. If you have a really big project, there's not really a good way to sort for like assets that aren't being used and just like delete them so that your package size isn't so large. I think at least that it will still attempt to package all of the assets despite the fact that some of them aren't in use, which for the project that I'm working in is like it has all those mega scans, so it's going to be absolutely massive if I try to package it, so I'm not going to do that. What I have instead is this blank project, and if I just migrate over that one map, my persistent level, then it'll take everything that it requires with it. So I'll have basically the whole game. All that I'll need to do is go through and import the input settings and change the plugins. I should actually do that now so that it doesn't try to start VR stuff the moment that I open the game for the first time. Excellent. Yeah, and I just want to test my build this morning and make sure that works. So I'm going to go back to the other project and migrate it over. What did I do yesterday? I deleted all the foliage. I changed the material to the city, the park landscape material. This one doesn't have quite like there weren't any really good path things, for instance, and also. If you watched my Hyperhand devlog at all, I followed a tutorial to make this landscape terrain that would automatically apply different brushes to different things based on their pitch, like their steepness, which looked really, really good. But I feel like it would be cheating for me to do that here. I said I wouldn't build any new functionality, so I just went through and painted in some kind of like little dirt sides by hand. And it doesn't look amazing, but I think once I get more foliage in there, it'll look better too. Yeah, I removed the trees because I realized that I figured that Unreal would just recognize that they move around, so they don't work well with like static lighting, and also it'll try to build a light map with like one huge actor, so it gets messed up. So I figured that Unreal would just be like, oh, I won't try to build a light map for those, but there's no way to change if you select like the instance mesh. There's no way to change it to movable so that it's uses dynamic lighting and not static lighting. So it built the lighting with all of the foliage and it ran like garbage, unsurprisingly. What I found out you can do, if you put your static objects and your lights into a sublevel, you can build the lighting in that sublevel so that you get really nice built lighting on just your static objects, and then you leave stuff like your terrain and your foliage in your persistent level where you disable static lighting so that it won't build that pre-computed lighting. I also realized I put in all the trees and stuff, and I was like, well, there's not really a whole lot around, so I added some little areas. I think this will be a cool, like a unique kind of plant here. This weeping willow. I need a little picnic area. I thought it'd be funny to have like a guy that made like this modern art piece and then asks you your opinion about it. And then I made this little like kind of market area down here with another joke, like one food stall that will have a ton of customers lined up in it, while the other ones are like, why doesn't anybody like our food? Something. I made a little pond. This is really easy. This is cool. I didn't know that you could do this, but this water material that was also in the city park asset pack just puts foam like around the places where it intersects with the land, so that's really cool. So I made these little areas. I'm gonna go ahead and what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I realized I was like, well, I need to start implementing gameplay today since it's the last day to work on this. So my game loop is going to be really, really simple. It's just going to be you get up to these doors, they're going to be locked. They look a little bit out of place here, but it's not the end of the world. They're locked. The guy is like, there will be a little guy up here, a crow or something, that's like, oh, I lost the keys. If you go get them, I can allow you in, and you'll be like an adventurer trying to collect this special plant that's native to this area. And I'll be like, yeah, we have some, it's just upstairs, you're welcome to it, but I need you to unlock the door. I'll be like, oh, I forgot where I lost my keys. Maybe the pond? I was also by the Weeping Willow the other day. So the player will come down here, and regardless of which way they'll go, they'll kind of most likely end up intersecting an area. Or if they came down here and went into the building and then went one way or went the other way or something, then they'll have the opportunity to go back the opposite way so that they can kind of see everything that's in the level. And then I'll just put a key both in the pond area and over here in the Weeping Willow area, so that regardless of which way you go, you don't have to backtrack and do both or get lucky and only hit one. You get the key, come back up, hit the door. You can take this staircase up to the top, and then I'm thinking out on one of these two balconies, whichever one has better lighting coming into it. Maybe neither of them right now. Maybe even that one. Just because, lights kind of like guide you. You're like, oh, but probably one of these two. I'll have the flowers and a character that's like, yeah, feel free to take one, and then you'll take it and the game will be over. So I'm going to implement that. I think that should be pretty quick. It should only take me like 30 minutes, since all this stuff is like pre-constructed with, assets that already exist. I don't have to code anything up. I just need to write some little pieces of dialogue and plop some keys down in these areas. So I'm going to start with that. Okay. Took a little bit longer than expected because my dialogue thing was being a little bit funky, but it all worked out. I got this character that'll tell you, help me find my keys. And then once you get up here, this character happily gives you this flower. I was really happy with this. I was like, oh, this interactive object thing looks like it'll just let me create these flowers that you can pick up. And if you walk up to this, I put some particles on it to make it a little bit more noticeable. You can pick it up, you can kind of rotate it around. And it's hard to see, but it does pop up a little message that says that you picked it up. When you check, I was able to also add a description for it. This whole system is really, really cool. It looks really nice. So this worked great. What I would like to do, obviously, is that's kind of the required one, but to have more flowers spread throughout the world that you can pick up that are like that, I think would add just a cool little thing that the player can interact with every once in a while. Excuse me. There are just a couple of asset packs that I haven't used yet, and yeah, one of the sort of things of the game jam is to use something from all of the asset packs. So I'm going to go ahead, add some music. I think I'm going to add some vines inside the building. I think will look cool, which will knock out that procedural nature pack. So yeah, I'll go through and make sure those last couple assets are being used. Got my landscape material hooked up into my landscape grass types. I changed things a little bit. I removed the dirt on the side of the hills because it just looked bad, and I was like, you know what, grass will just be fine. I kept the sort of rocky thing over here. I added some little grass into the grass ones. I also these bigger meshes that were on the grass were intersecting the areas that had them, so I just put these paths on them instead. Actually, I just realized that, yeah, oopsies, I have some problem areas in here. I added some vines inside the interior of here that I think look really cool. And I want to put more ivy and stuff inside of the structure to kind of give it that more ruined sense, I guess. But I'm going to, before I get super deep into my work and have to shower super late, I'm gonna take a break, and then when I come back, I'll go through and add in trees, since it's sorely missing foliage. That's the one thing that really looks super out of place here, is there are no trees. And then yeah, we'll start there. Okay, I got all my foliage placed. Hopefully nothing in here. Yep. I used a blend of what are these? Pines, conifers, and these more mapley looking ones. I also scaled up the willow so that it's just a little bit more landmarky. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this looks and the division of everything. It looks nice and lush. I'm cool with it. So next thing that I'm gonna do, again, we've got the MVP, we have the minimum game that's necessary there, and all of the assets all of the different packs I needed to use are there. So now it's just a matter of making the game better for 3 more hours until I'm done. So what I think is going to be easy is making more of these interactive plants, and that'll kind of give the player it will kind of teach them what the thing that they need to do at the end is as well. So this will just be easy interactions to dot along the map. So I'm going to start with that and just use up the different plants that were in that one pack from the same pack, because they look great and they'll look nice and consistent, and make more of these interactive ones that you can pick up. Okay, so now dotted throughout the game, and in particular in areas that are near these landmarks, so there are more better chance that you'll come across them. I have these little interactable plants. I also put in the music. I don't know if that was there before. So if you get up close to one, and I made the interactable fireflies a little bit bigger. So you can pick this up, you can take it, and then I'll tell you in the bottom left, picked up, whatever kind of plant you picked up. The extra code to make those fireflies that go away isn't worth it. So that's where that's at. I definitely want to add more, this area needs more unique foliage for it. I think there's probably some cattails or some kind of pondy type foliage that I could use in here, but I definitely want to like just make this a little bit cleaner, or like more detailed. And then I figure for a while, maybe like an hour, I'll see how many more characters I can add, characters with dialogue, which I think once I get rolling on it, it'll be pretty easy. So I'll go through, I'll make the pond a little bit nicer, and then I'll give the player some more characters to talk to. Yeah. So I got in a few more characters. They give you kind of hints as to where to go and what to do. I got 3 more characters in with dialogue. It was very quick, and then when I went to do the 4th one, I just stopped it. Like, I can't put dialogue on anything else. It just stopped working. The other 3 are working, but it just seems like it's not allowing me to put more dialogue on anything else. So for a little while, I'm gonna place some ivy inside here because I think it's gonna look really, really good. That being said, I'm gonna work until 11 p.m. and then, stop working immediately, package everything, migrate everything over to the new project, the empty project, package it, and be done, so that I have plenty of time to make sure that I have my, lighting build and package everything. But obviously my family is going to bed early than that, so this is probably the last little bit of dev thing that I'm going to show, and then at some point tomorrow, the whole gang is going to meet and show what we finished. So this is it for now.
It gave the base, and then it was like, hey, if you actually want this to work, you need to go to our Dropbox and download these 2 extra plugins as well. And then I downloaded those, and then it didn't work. And then I was like, nice, guys.
RIP. Yeah, the dialogue thing, like, would randomly just not be interactable sometimes, and if I like wouldn't change anything, but I would just like close the engine and reopen it, and then everybody I could talk it would work. It was quite a thing. So I wrote like a ton of dialogue without being able to like see if any of it worked, and then just like shipped the game and was like, fingers crossed. But I think it all did. So yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it all worked out. There was awesome. One glitch where like if you walked away from an animal,
it would still show
like
the
continue.
thing.
Yeah, but like that was all.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. It didn't break the game.
All right, so we're recording. We're here. It's Thursday afternoon because I stayed up super early this morning, I guess, and that. But we're done. And we're gonna play these games and see what happened. Also, Steven OD'd on caffeine, and he can't be with us anymore. So,
You make it sound like he died.
Yeah, you really.
Yeah, we'll miss him, but it was a good run while we had him. Okay. Alright, randomly selected Jared. Show us what you did. Show us the game.
Okay.
The game about me. I love it already.
Nice.
I'm so excited.
So, this is the main menu. It does not properly go to the character select menu. However, I did get this kind of jank box animation going.
Nice.
And then it does this
Yo.
when you start, and then it's supposed to call a function that transitions to the character select screen, but for some reason the animation events aren't working. So.
Alright.
That's fine.
Understandable.
It's very pretty though.
And then we got, I did not. Cool. We got the rock.
Rock.
The 3 genders.
The zombie and the anime girl. If you click on the rock, it'll like.
Okay.
And then you're supposed to, if you click to the anime girl, you get sent to Is this the updated? No, it's not the updated one.
Oh, I see. That's like a scene selection thing. I was like, the game is just like clicking on the rock to make it change colors. I like it.
I wish. I was... After the anime girl proved to be very difficult to work with, I was wanting to definitely do that. But you click the anime girl and it sends you to anime girl slide racing.
Very good.
Incredible.
Yeah. And you go around the track, and then you win. And then it doesn't transition to a correct scene.
Nice. Bam. That's a lot of game for 3 days, dude. She does a flip at the end too.
Yeah, I had to make that animation of her flipping back.
Ooh.
All right, did some 3D animation too. I love it.
Okay, and that's it.
That's it.
That's all.
Yeah, dude. Solid. Nice. I did not. I was like, I don't know where he's gonna put this like anime girl in, but I did not expect you to just replace the cart with her entirely. That was that was unexpected. That was pretty good. I assume. Yeah.
My original plan was to, like, before I looked at the anime girl pack, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do one of those idle clicker style games where it's just the anime girl and you just click on her and then she does the reaction stuff and then randomly it will like swap to a Slender game where she's like T-posing at you or something. And then it'll swap to a kart racer or something. And then I looked at the anime girl pack and they had it set up so weirdly that I was like, I can't do this anymore.
The effort was valiant though. I loved it. Was the 3 characters, was that like intended to be like a character select screen for like which cart you drove?
No, the zombie, so there was going to be like 3 different game scenes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The anime girl, the rock, and the zombie. In the rock, if you cycle through all of its materials, it would take you to a scene with just the rock, and if you press anything, you lose.
Nice.
And then for the zombie, it'll basically be the same thing, where if you press something, he explodes, and then you lose. So...
Solid. I love it. Alright, up next, I got me. I'm gonna show my game. So this is what I got with Mabel's, all the stuff that Mabel gave me. Okay, so this is right where I showed, my friends my project. I went back and looked at the video. It was really choppy, so I am kind of re-recording that part. They didn't talk a whole lot throughout it anyway, so this is going to be pretty similar to kind of what they got. But I wanted to make sure that I at least showed some video of the complete, the final game. Like I'll mention later in this video, but it's also available on itch.io as a download, so you can at least see screenshots of it there, or try it if you'd like. And it also only seems to be getting stable video in editor, so we're playing it in a standalone window in the editor right now. For some reason the build is really choppy when it's recording. So in retrospect, first thing, I wish I hadn't put these 2 trees here. I just didn't. I must not have gone through and like looked at what that looked like, but the house is kind of obscured coming down from here, so I wish that wasn't the case. Or you can talk to these guys. This person sort of establishes what you're doing in the game, which is why the first character you come across, you tell them you're looking for this particular lily, and they tell you where you are likely to be able to find it. So usually I would expect players to just go straight into the structure, assuming that there's some way up from the first floor, which there isn't, right? But you can go whichever way you want it. It might kind of make the game a little bit, the continuity a little bit strange, but it won't break or anything. In both of the areas with the keys, there's a character that can give you sort of hint as to where the key is. I mean, the one in the willow area, the person is just standing right next to it, and it's like, oh, looks like somebody left their key. So it's really obvious, but I'm going to pick up that key first just to make this a little bit quicker. I'll come up into here. I'm really happy with how this shot ended up working out coming into the building. And, I mean, I really, really like the look of all of this looking up in the building. If you come down into this first floor, this character gives you a hint as to where you can find what you're looking for, which is in the top floors. I thought I painted over the whole area of this, but I must have missed something, and there's still a little bit of grass coming through. I'm just going to go straight through here, but I mean, like I showed, there are some other areas. There's the little market area. There's the sort of modern art piece over here, and, you know, flowers strewn throughout. Something that I kind of realized, especially when I got to this modern art piece, is the dialogue here. I made the character who's like an artist, that you talk to her about it, and she's kind of self-conscious about her work, right? And the more I thought about that, I was like, oh, this character could be kind of like a critic, kind of mean about saying like, oh, it's only good for getting some shade. And then her parents are here, you know, hoping that she doesn't overhear, hoping their daughter doesn't overhear this guy being mean about it. And then a guy who's, I guess, supposedly kind of friends with her that is happy that she finished her sculpture. So the more I started thinking about dialogue, and I'm not really a narrative-focused person, but the more I started thinking about it in terms of interesting relationships between the characters, I realized it instantly brought so much more life to the world, as opposed to there are a handful of characters, right, that are just like, wow, it's a beautiful day outside or whatever, right? They're just kind of like, you're just hearing their internal monologue, which is weird in my opinion. So I like, you know, I'm happy that I managed to do something that I kind of learned that this is kind of a better way to write your dialogue. This guy, you know, these characters sort of foreshadow that if you're trying to get up there, you have to have the key as well. But then if you don't talk to them, this guy is right here, standing right in front of the door that tells you, you know, I lost my keys, can't get in, but if you're willing to help me, check the pond and the willow tree. But I already have the key, so I'll just let myself right in. And now we're pretty much at the end of the game. I'll hop onto this very precarious stairway here. Sometimes these prompts don't go away, like Mabel had mentioned, but it's not the end of the world. This shot, I'm super happy with this, leading up here. And then, right, this last character tells you that you can take this flower, and that'll complete your quest. Click through here. For some reason, these stair collisions are a little bit funky, and occasionally you get caught on them, but only in like one place. Yeah, this flower, it's not super visible, but it tells you that you picked it up. And I wish there was something that kind of showed you, maybe if I told the player early on, like, hey, you can check your inventory for descriptions of the plants, you would see when you get that final flower, it tells you, congrats on completing your journey. Something I thought about doing, what's the word? Like, as I was going through this, was having some interesting facts on each flower that you'd be able to see when you pick them up and view them in the inventory. But ultimately, I just didn't feel like enough people were going to look at it that it was going to be worth the time to do. So, yeah, and now we're looking at OBS. Weird, didn't mean to do that, but okay, done. Alright, how's my game? Mabel. Let's see, let's take a look. I'm hype.
Ooh. Okay. There we go. Can y'all see all right?
Yeah.
Can you hear the music good?
Yeah. That's a fly car right there.
Yeah.
I made dynamic music, and I wanted to make it like, what's the word? So I made dynamic music. So it changes based on the speed of the player. And I mainly use the Cyberpunk music for this. And there were like some really good tunes in there, and I was planning on making like a second level, but I didn't have enough time. So like here's the fastest you can go and the most fast song. And then oh my gosh, I'm so bad at driving. But that's okay. Oh my gosh, it's so loud. Because I made a restart button, and when you restart, it plays one of the psychedelic sounds. Probably didn't even hear it, but it played it, I promise.
Nice.
And then when you jump through the little rings, it plays one of the UI sounds. I think there was one package that I didn't use, which was like minimal UI sounds. I'm so sorry. And then, yeah, there's loops. I basically just made like a jungle level. For the player to play around in. Just because I was happy with the dynamic songs that I made.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interesting physics that I made. Or not made, I guess, but like created for the player to play around with. So like despite like being a pretty small game, it's still very fun, and like I don't know, I enjoy playing it just because I feel awesome when doing it. And I also put in a bunch of lighting to make it look pretty.
It definitely does. It's that like vaporwave aesthetic really well.
Oh no. Oh no. And then it should work that when you go into here, you can go through the level. And I tried to fix it, but I guess I didn't work.
Oh, it'll like push you through the floor? What is happening?
There we go. I'm going really fast.
Nice.
Yeah, and also you get points when you go through the ring.
Solid.
No! Okay, and that's all.
Amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Steven, did you have like any idea on how you were gonna work the like whole virtual novel thing into your game?
An idea? Yeah. I was gonna have the visual novel love rivalry concludes in cart battle.
Okay, amazing. And then the caffeine withdrawal happened.
Brain hurty, you know?
Brain hurty indeed, dude. Yeah, no, I've had that happen. It sucks. I feel you. It was awesome. I super loved like seeing the games. I think it was cool. I totally personally expected to end up making something really ridiculous. So like Mabel, when you sent me all these things that you were like, I tried to make it all like coherent and fit together. I was like, okay, I guess I have to make like a real game now. So it was unexpected. It was a fun challenge. It was a good time.
Yeah, I would have never made like a racing game on my own. But like, I actually really like making racing games. They're a lot of fun.
There you go. Yeah, I forgot like how much fun I have doing level design stuff, and I am like now I'm like, dang, I kind of wish that I was doing more of that like with my projects and stuff. So yeah, maybe I'll try to work that in more for GamerGad or something like that.
Oh boy, do I have an opportunity for you.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. I get to do some level design on that project. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and I like doing it. I think 3 days is the ideal amount of time to make a small game. I definitely would not have wanted any more time to try to overscope anything. The game was overscoped as it was. Cool. All right.
I had a really great time. Thank you for putting this together, Felix.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for reaching out and expressing interest in it. I'm way more glad that we got to do it together as opposed to me just choosing out my own stuff and doing it by myself. So yeah, cool. I'm gonna head out. Take it easy, y'all. Thanks for playing. Thanks for showing your games. I loved it.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
Bye.
take it easy, guys. See you. Okay, this is the third time I've tried to film this segment. Just keeps going super long. I have a lot of things that I want to say. In short, this was a great experience. Working on a short time frame was actually it was really fun. It kind of forced me to prioritize and think about things. Think about the value of what I was adding and how to optimize that, how to get the most value out of the stuff that I was adding. So if you're interested in making games, I would say if you work on a small size project, don't burn yourself out. Don't try to make something huge in a really short amount of time, or like work for 24 hours straight or something. Don't do those things. Get plenty of sleep or whatever, but maybe do a few day project. Set aside a few days, especially over a break like this or something that you might have. It's a good way to learn things quickly about like, oh, this worked, this didn't work, and it's not like a month-long project turnaround where you get to the end of it and you're like, oh yeah, I wish I had done that thing differently like weeks and weeks ago. And you're like, oh yeah, I made that decision on day 2 that, I like in retrospect, I kind of wish that I hadn't spent like as much time on the structure, the building, or like I wish that I had focused more on like finding a way to build it quickly because I didn't use enough like shortcuts early on. I was like placing too many things by hand and stuff like that. So just stuff like that. But I didn't spend more than a day doing that, like a day and a half doing that. So I made those mistakes and learned from them really quickly. So it's valuable for that. I would also say part of the reason this was called the asset flip jam is that I think third-party or outsourced assets kind of get a bad rap because of the games that are literal asset flips this is just a template game from the asset store that I bought and I'm turning around and trying to sell it to people. That's just bad practice. Everybody can kind of agree that that's not a good thing to do. However, a lot of people bring that and it's like, oh, you used those trees from that asset pack, you must be a lazy dev. Like, no, maybe that person just doesn't know how to make art, or maybe doesn't want to whenever, like, there are already tons and tons of great high-quality assets out there that exist. The first-person story template, first-person story adventure game or whatever, that thing is great. Like, all of that, like, you can pick things up and look at them and add them to your journal and the save and load system. Like, that's awesome. You could get a really cool, interesting game up and running with that, and more of your own stuff or more free stuff really quickly. So look for those things and utilize them because they're great. Number one, if you're trying to learn an engine or you're trying to learn a tool or whatever, to just get something up and running quickly, so that you don't have to spend a ton of time focusing on trying to make your own stuff. But they also can just make a good high quality project. Like other people have already put in the blood, sweat, and tears and the time to make those things. So like why just do very similar kind of stuff whenever somebody else has already done it for you and it's available for free or maybe a very low cost? Those are my takeaways. Do a short project. Use assets when they're available to you. Especially like I look at the marketplace, the Unreal marketplace, and being a DigiPen student, there's not a whole lot of assets that I can use because they want us to get the experience of creating our own things, which I think also has a lot of value. But I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, I just want to make a game out of like that one like world, that one like level design pack or whatever. Like that looks amazing. And so I kind of got a chance to do that here, and I was really happy to do that. Like working with these really cool looking assets or whatever, like the fountain and the stairs and stuff. These are really basic things. but I started placing them in the level, and I was like, oh, this gives me so many ideas for what I want to make. And that's fantastic. So it can be a really good inspirational boost for you to not have to like do the hard work of making all your own stuff. You just start throwing stuff in, and you're like, oh, I have all these cool ideas, and you can just get to the kind of the fun part faster if that's something that interests you. So make something small, use assets. You know, if it's winter break, also remember to relax, take it easy. Don't spend time around people unless you have to, honestly, for everyone's safety. And yeah, have a good break. And if you're keeping up with the channel, hopefully the next thing you'll see is the Hyperham retrospective. Once I finish the last few things, there are a few more things that I found that I need to go back and fix. My level streaming, for instance, I know why it's broken and why it's taking too long to load. So I'm going to go through and fix those things, get it submitted to the game gallery, and I'll make a little post-mortem video on that, hopefully. And if not, there will definitely be more content from me in the future on game design stuff. So take it easy. See you then.